So let's talk about the structure of the human body. And we'll find that the structure of the human body contains the structure of the So it's really interesting to look at the actual structure of the body in very simple terms. Just look at it as stuff, as Lego blocks. Don't necessarily look at what the Lego blocks are doing. Just look at the actual structural fractal connection, right? And just go from like things outside of yourself to things inside of yourself. So let's start with the bones, right? We'll say the bones are, you either got to start with the bones or the skin, right? You're everything kind of sandwiched between the bones and the skin in a certain way. And then inside of the bones is a very, very deep layer of you that doesn't mechanically respond to the world through action. Like it makes your immune system. So like inside of the bones, which is outside of the experiential definition of self for the most part, in terms of like, I can move or control that, the bones influence reality from indirect means, right? Everything else in your body between the bones and the skin is that water bag that can kind of like deform, bend, move, flex, like pressurize, right? Like no matter what's in your body, you can pressurize it because it's all the same water thing. The bones are difficult to like pressurize. They're kind of not part of you. And so if you're looking at the body, you're looking at everything between the bones and the skin. And so we'll start with the bones. The bones have a bag of fascia around them, connective tissue, stringy, spiderwebby type stuff, right? And then that fascia goes out and wraps around and forms and creates the scaffolding for all the other stuff, like the blood vessels, the organ bags, and all of those things are in these bags that are connected to the bone and the skin. So you got these two layers. The skin is a single bag, and then you have the bag around the bones, and then between those two things, the scaffolding, and that holds all of your muscles in place, all of your organs in place, holds all of your other bones in place. And so that bag creates all these pockets for water, essentially, and then all the pockets for all the cells. And so the cells, the connective tissue actually goes down. It fractalizes into the cells, into the microtubules, and the network goes all the way down to the cells. The same thing that grabs your bones and your organs and your skin is all the way down to the smallest parts about you. It'll connect to the surface of the cells. The surface of the cells is connected to the DNA. And so that's all one structure. If you move superficially, it's just weight. If you move mindfully, it's power. Because if you're not moving mindfully, it's just that you just have to move that structure around. With what? Well, you have to move that structure around with the stuff in the structure, with yourself. And so if you're moving mindfully, you're inhabiting that water, that metabolism, that sort of fire, that fuel, that will that is housed in the cells, and you can push yourself along. And that's experienced as will, as impulse, as control, as power. Right? So the unconscious body is experienced of as weight, as object, and then the conscious body is experienced as awareness, as flotation, as desire. And then stuff like the blood, you have the blood, which is this water, this oxygen holding, this stuff that's magnetically attracted to oxygen. is constantly flowing, and so that constant fluidity is actually what drives us to motion. The blood is what's moving, and then the body taps into that or surfs the blood in order for it to move. The body moves because the blood is moving, and what's moving in the blood is the energy that moves the body. Like, this isn't some schizo take, this is basic metabolism. The oxygen, the energy in your blood, and your blood's moving like a wheel, and then the energy in that blood is the thing driving the body. So you can view the body as kind of a surfboard. The body is riding on the blood. If the body and the blood become disconnected from each other, like wiping out, or if it becomes disconnected from the wave of the heart or whatever, that's seen as you're bleeding out. You lose your blood. Wipe out. Or the blood crashes at the end of its life, which, crashes wherever it happens to crash. Normally by the shore, but could crash earlier. People that crash earlier are those people that have that artistic impulse, that vision, that thing, because the waves break. You'll have people whose wave is there, the energy in the blood that breaks, and that breaking or that opening is what then allows the body to surf it. If the wave doesn't break, you can't really surf it. The waves have to break before the shore. Most waves break at the shore. They can't really be surfed. So like a person whose waves breaks at the shore, you figure out life, but it's at the end. Right? Life opens to you, just like the wave opened to you, and crash, and you figure it out. If it breaks earlier, then it creates that situation where it's breaking, and then you're surfing on the break. Like I've said in other videos, that surfing of awareness is what leads to superhuman performance, be it artistic, be it movement, be it intellectual, be it emotional, right? Like even falling in love, like Romeo and Juliet style or whatever. That's surfing this movement of the blood that you break open. And that's where you get these impulses that you see from people who are trying to break other people open. Anyway, so the body's riding that movement of the blood, that big surfing, and that little surfing there is riding the movement of the planet, the movement of the earth, the movement of the sun is what the blood is surfing on. And then the body is surfing on the blood. The cells are surfing on the blood. They're getting their energy from the blood, the same way that a surfer gets its energy from a wave. So you have all these different movements of the water, and all the water has different charge to it, different density to it, a different type of electrical activity to it. Like, right, acids have a deficiency of electrons, bases have too many. That changes the properties of the water. It changes the elevation and the level of the water. The charges of the ions and everything changes, like, the level of what the water is doing in the body. And so you have the circulatory systems, the cerebral spinal fluid, these bags of water that contain our organs. That water goes from the blood into the organs, into the cells, like not only just that oxygen, but that actual water. That water is continuous there, like the oxygen and the energy and all the movement here is flowing through the water. It's flowing through the water the same way that waves go through the water. When energy is going through water, the water doesn't necessarily have to move very much. So the water of our body is constantly taking energy through it like a wave, and then it expresses it on the surface of our awareness, which is what we would call our perception or our consciousness. that gets down to the cellular level, like the water, the single water connection. And then you get to these points where the water starts to dissolve things, right? So you'll get the DNA is in the water. Is the DNA in the water dissolved? Because that's a radically different state, right? When something is dissolved into the water, like the bones aren't dissolved in the water, are they? They are contained in the water. Are the organs dissolved in the water, or are they contained in the water? Right? The carbohydrates seem to be absorbed into the water. Proteins seem to be absorbed into the water. Right? Where's the line where something is inside of water in a bubble, and where is it like dissolved in water? It has become water. Are the ions? Are the cell membranes? Is the cell membrane of the cells, is that dissolved in water, or is it contained in water? And anytime that you cut into it, anytime that you cut into the water, it makes things undissolved. Like things crystallize, things crash out. And so as you open it up, you see organs, you see tissues, you see vessels. But I would say until you cut it, like the surface of all the cells is like secreting these anchors, these tendricles, these pathways. The cells are secreting those things, and they are physical. They're not dissolved in water necessarily. The cells aren't, but they're reaching up to, and then creating these things that do dissolve in water. So they're physically connected to these things that are then partially dissolved into water at their ends. So it's like a structure, like certain proteins are there on the surface of the cells, the surface of the cells themselves. The surface dissolves in water. It's hydrophilic, right? It's hydrophilic. So as long as that surface is dissolved in water, it's gone. It doesn't exist. It's in there. No matter how big everything else is inside of the cell, the whole cell is dissolved in water. And then inside, and like when you dissolve in water, you don't exist. Like, where's the sugar molecule? On a certain level, you don't exist. You can't be filtered out. Right? It's a different state where the electron activity of the substance becomes identical to the electron activity of the solution, and it's dissolved. And it hides the atom, or it hides the inside, and then if you do lots of that, you can hide everything on the other side of it. So you create these like little lipid packages, and I would say that they're all dissolved in water. This is all invisible. And then and then it has this skin to it, right? You secrete this skin of non-dissolving so that the water can stay contained. Secrete a skeleton, and you secrete a skin, and then the water can remain contained. And then I would say that like the skin makes it so you can't see how invisible we are, but with everything functioning and this electrical activity intact, with the water intact, every cell in the body is more or less hidden. If it's a lot, like if it's dissolved in water. And so that's you. You're also this thing that you're not just something moving through water, like a boat. You're not just moving through water. You have things that are going out into, and you are the water. Because you're dissolved in the water. And then that makes you a non-local, non-physical phenomenon. Like water is a field. Well, you can see water as an energy. Water is a plasma. So if you dissolve salt or sugar into the water, like let's say you dissolve salt, that turns the water, or the salt, into a plasma. And it's non-local. So, but the salt like totally disappears. There's no physical anchor left again of the salt. But imagine you have like a cell nucleus and you have the DNA, and the DNA is this coiled snake, right? And as it uncoils, it's not dissolved in the water, but certainly as it's a single stranded thing, that's dissolved in the water. And then that's also releasing these things that dissolve into the water. And it's also attracting to and crystallizing information out of the water. And so that's you're reaching down into that. You could, if you put your identity as the structure of like, I'm the will, I'm the body, I'm the electrical activity in the body, I'm the impulses, I'm the nerves, you can view yourself as that, I'm the matter. Or you could view yourself as, I'm the spirit, I'm the awareness, I'm the observer. And you could view yourself as that. And they both kind of work, but the structure of the body is both that. So the awareness, the spirituality, the field or whatever is there physically. The spirit, like it's the water. And so there's certain water mechanics that you have to respond to, the same way that there's certain biomechanics that you have to respond to in terms of how your knee operates. Every structure in the body operates in a certain density or in a certain field of water and at a certain level of dissolution in that water. And that changes the properties radically. Like if you had a trebuchet or some device, some lever pulley device, and put it in a pool, put it in a little bit of water, and it has there's certain physics, there's certain mechanics, there's certain stress points, and then put it underwater, and there's a different physics, different mechanics, there's different stress points. Where was I? So that's the structure of the body. You're always moving your awareness, and when you move what you subjectively think of as your awareness, when I go, there's your awareness, you go, what? My awareness? And I go, your awareness right there, use it. Move from it. What that does externally to me is that makes it look like you start moving from the water of your body rather than from your muscles. And that lets you do certain things when you're moving from your awareness. That's like sending it. That's intent. People do this reflexively. The language just nobody's put it together that you're referencing the water. You're coaching water. You're coaching how the person behaves and moves from their water. It's a body system. It's a mind system. Like people treat it very esoteric, but it's just a mind system that for some reason, no, it's obviously water, but everyone's like talking about it as mind or like awareness or intent or courage or like it's water behavior. It's all those other things, but it's all of those things are water behavior. And so once you realize it's water behavior, it's like, okay, cool, there's water behavior, and then there's like your left bicep behavior. It's like whatever, it's just another thing. People worship it like it's the key to existence. And if you don't know about it, it is, but it's just one facet of what it is to be a person. Like it's a muscle. It's a muscle. It's a location of action, and it needs to be coordinated with other locations of actions. Just like if you're going to have like a good overhead press, the location of action of your arms has to be coordinated with your legs. That's it, and that needs to be coordinated with your water, and your water is everywhere. And like you subjectively go, oh, what's your left quadricep? You don't have a left quadricep in your experience. That references something in your experience. It references an effort and an exertion point. It references you trying right there. When somebody talks about a muscle, they're saying, try right there. I'm talking about your trying right there. That's what your quadricep is your trying right there. And so the awareness is you're trying right there. The location in your subjective awareness is your, what you experience as awareness, that's the water. Just like your quad is technically like dissolved in your body, it doesn't exist. That's the water right at that area of your experience of what everyone's talking about when they talk about your legs. How do you know? You slap it and you go, oh, that. You're like, oh, that. What is that sensation as you slap your quadricep? It's not a quadricep. It's definitely not a quadricep. The quadricep is just the location, right? The bag. But you're like, it's that definite, that's right there. That's what you mean. And you go, okay, I know what to exercise. I know where to try from. Like, okay, that should be getting sore. Right, that should be getting sore. So it's the same thing with the awareness. Oh, that needs to be getting intense. That needs to be getting focused. That needs to be getting of single-mindedness of one quality, right? It's just a muscle. It just does different things. Like that needs to be happening to play piano. And so that water is a big part of the anatomy, and so it's got some weird things going on to it with it, including parts of your physical body are coming into and out of existence at that boundary layer. And on the other side of that boundary layer is like non-local, non-physical. It's everywhere. It's like everywhere somehow. Like something that's dissolved in the water right here of your body is somehow having an influence everywhere. And that's what people subjectively experience as like related to electromagnetism, radiation, stuff like that. That's this phenomenon in your body of things that are dissolved. And if you dig into it, like if you got a small enough filter, it's still physical. You could probably get the dissolved salt separated from the water somehow physically. Like, I guess what, reverse osmosis can do that? But it's different than it's so small that it's like not normal filtering. You have to like drop down to a different set of like rules. A more refined set of rules, and you go, oh, this invisible thing, this dissolved salt, this dissolved sugar is actually still physical. It's not completely turned into the medium of water, even though I can't see it or interact with it as an object anymore. It's still there where something could see it and interact with it as an object, but from my perspective, it has become non-physical and everywhere. And the behavior of its electrical shell, its sheath, is it's gone. The entire body of water is that's what happens when you dissolve in water. The entire body of water becomes your electron orbital shell sheath. So every object in the water shares a single body, and that's what it means to be dissolved. That single body of electrons is everything that interacts or behaves like an object. It's that single body of electrons. So anything that's dissolved in water is that object. It's no longer in the object, it is the object. It's not in the water, it is the water that's dissolving. Where your electrical energy is contributing to the electrical energy of the whole. And that's the true power source of the body. You can't see it, I guess. That's why people would describe it as secret or whatever. But this is the uncontested structure of being, right? I guess what would people, it's like, in terms of, am I offering something that is to be argued with? As far as I know, what I'm saying is like, we've just looked at it and cut it apart with a knife, and this is how it's put together. You'd say, oh, my awareness isn't water, and I would say, okay, prove it, I guess? Like, how is it not? How is awareness not water, I guess? tell me. I don't think that's a negative, improvable question. Like, just come up with a. I can't. I'm too dumb. I can't come up with an experiment that would prove that awareness is not water. So maybe, I guess not. It's not a scientific question. I don't even know how to address it. I'd be like, oh, how do you prove the sky is not blue? I don't. Ooh, how do you prove that it is blue? That's where it's at with water, is awareness. Because the sky matches the color of blue perfectly, and then the behavior of water matches the behavior of awareness. Show me an area where awareness behaves differently than water. That's it. I can't find a single pattern of behavior where awareness is any different than water. I could list an infinite number, right? Is this the paper? I could list like an infinite number, and I would never exhaust it of the ways that water and awareness act the same. Okay, I can't think of an end to that. So how many would I have to like write about? A dozen, 100, like whatever. It's just infinite. Let's leave it at that. And then what's the way that it does not act like awareness? That's my question.